Okay, well I guess I'm not going to bother streaming this, and I'm just going to do this as a video. So much for that great idea. YouTube's currently telling me it's 24 hours basically until I can stream. So, this is for the King of the Chaos Goblins, Neolithic Shepherd himself, who has paid for 50 kilos of carrots to be peeled. And so I'm going to be peeling 50 kilos of carrots, and however long it takes. I'm doing this at home, sitting down. I'm not going to stand up for the hours because it's my day off. So, hence why I'm not wearing a regulation apron. And it's also why, to be brutally honest, I'm going to be drinking beer while I do this. This is not something you would normally do in a kitchen, drinking beer while doing prep. Bad form. There are stories of chefs who work better while they're pissed, but they are just stories. So, what I always do when I'm peeling carrots, I don't normally use pocketed aprons either. This is just my home gamer one. It's very dangerous to be sticking a knife, even a tourne. What this guy is, this is, as soon as we can get it in there, this is a tourne. If you want to know what it looks like, that is what it looks like. Same knife. It's a tourne from the early 50s, first stainless steel generation production by our dear friends at Wusthof. Copper pin, ebony handle. Very old school way of doing it. It's a paring knife I use an awful lot. I probably shouldn't because I got it as new old stock. And it came in the box, but there are even beautiful knives are just tools and they need to be used. They deserve. So what I'm actually doing is I have a series 4 20-litre HACCP certified food safe plastic buckets that I'm putting the carrots into, and the carrots are being peeled. There's the knife. Carrots are being peeled. The peelings are going into a paper bag. You can see at my feet, brown paper bag from Woolies, and this will be going straight in my compost heap for my garden. And I am actually going to be cooking with their carrots. They're not going to waste. They're not going to get thrown out. You cannot really see what I'm doing. There we go. Cool. And we'll just move that guy out of the way. So, yeah. I was actually expecting to get a 50 kilo bag, a singular bag, to do this, but instead I have 3 styro tubs with carrots in them. So one of the reasons why I'm doing I top and tail them and then do a chamfer around the outside, primarily for speed and a little bit of precision. Because of how the peeler I'm using, which is called, at least in Australian kitchens, a speed peeler. Because of how it works, due to the flexibility of the blade, it's quite a loose movie blade. If you've got the chamfer, such as we can see, top and bottom, it just makes things a little bit easier. I'm not going to really be going for speed today because I've just been at the physio for my shoulder, so a little bit stiff, a little bit sore. It's also my this is my Sunday afternoon. It's a grey and miserable Thursday in Brisbane. You want to know what miserable is? It's there's no blue skies. It's just slightly overcast, and the temperature is sitting in the high teens, low 20s in centigrade. So a lot of people from places where the fixings for a perfectly good cocktail fall out of the sky will be sitting there saying that's not cold, etc. But in summer it gets up to over 40 degrees on the regular. So getting down to 8 degrees or so, it's pretty much the swing you expect. I mean, Earth doesn't really have a temperature swing much above 40 degrees centigrade, so it's quite extreme to go from the summer where it can be 45, 46 degrees and then get down to 8 degrees. You're starting to approach extremes that you can't really engineer around. Yeah. Also, normally in a kitchen, in a commercial kitchen, there's not just the I would I would be doing this wearing shoes and appropriate safety gear, and I wouldn't be wearing an extremely flammable calico apron that, quite frankly, I think just looks nice. Also, would not be doing this sitting down, which, once again, old, tired, day off. Where's my beer? Very important to maintain hydration in the kitchen, even with the weather being the way it is lately. Most days at work I'm drinking 4 to 5 litres of water a day. Still having surprisingly dark urine, which a lot of people say, okay, you need to drink more water. It's like, I'm drinking 5 litres a day. Like, but you will sweat even in the middle of winter in a kitchen. You can sweat and lose an insane amount of weight. And also with the storage of these carrots, I did mention they're going into HACCP-safe buckets. They will be having water added to them, and there is a area in my house that even in the heights of summer, even when I've got 40-degree days, the wall temperature doesn't actually get above 8 degrees. So these buckets of carrots will be filled with water. A small amount of white vinegar will be added as a minor preservative, and apart from that, that will be the storage mechanism. It's kind of an older school method of storing carrots, much like a root cellar. With unpeeled carrots, you can store them dry, and they'll be just fine, within reason. You're sitting there saying, "Oh, my carrots always end up wrinkly and dry and crap." When you do them at home, and that is because a fridge is a very dry environment. I wish I wasn't going to put this up on YouTube, otherwise I'd be able to play music, which is the other way you'd famously get through this at work. I suppose now I'll at least have a definitive answer of how long it takes. Hey buddy. Don't think he's quite in shot, but there is a very large orange cat. He's very interested in what I'm doing, because it is unusual. And he is a predator and is concerned with unusual behaviours from the thumb monkey. Does this mean he's not going to get fed? Does this mean he's going to get fed extra? Does not know. So, sound is currently being done through a boom mic. So if it appears soft and you can't hear very much, that's because I'm not wearing a headset for however many hours this is going to take. And there we go, the furry slug has made an appearance. No, you do not get to have a whole carrot, Maui. These styro boxes, the company that I ordered the carrots through does actually collect them. They will pick them back up, which is one of the reasons why I used the company I used. Because these styrofoam boxes are actually quite surprisingly expensive. They're about $9–10 a pop. Possibly, I have heard quotes up to $20. The other thing is they're a plastic, and they are eminently reusable as long as you don't break them and you're gentle with them. They can be reused several times, which, when you think of the material costs, etc., go into these things, makes reusing them appropriate. You've seen that boom mic before, Maui. But Thumb Monkey, it's in a new place. It makes it different. This is is going to end up being some sort of viral ad sort of thing, isn't it? Like, you seen that Aussie chef? Tragically, I'm tangata whanoa, not Aussie, but sure, why not? We'll say we're Aussie. Chef peeling carrots. Goes for 4 hours. It's a beautiful video. And this may actually be an hour plus video. That's why I have multiple beers sitting here ready for me. I can't believe you can just set up a stream and go for your life. Bloody hell. This is what I get for not having YouTube Premium, right? It's another way of sucking the money out of you. I mean, I get it. If you're not the buyer, you're the product. So, I said I was going to be using these carrots, and well, there's a lot of things that's going to be made. I'm actually going to try making a batch of carrot and ginger wine. I'm going to make a straight carrot wine, which I have a recipe for. So I'll make that. We'll know the results in about 6 months. It'll probably taste absolutely disgusting, but that's half the fun. The other thing I'm going to be making is I've actually got a beer kit, and because beer's got a shorter cycle time between starting and finishing, I believe I actually am going to make a carrot infused draft, which I know it's not a good idea. Like, you need to jump in the comments and tell me that it's the stupidest idea you've ever heard, adding carrots to beer. What a waste of both carrots and beer. But, you know, like, it's 50 kilos of carrots. The byproduct, the pulp, will go into my garden, so it's really going to go to waste. These are actually quite large carrots. I requested when they called me to make sure, you sure you want 50 kilos of carrots, mate? Could have been a mistake. I actually said, give me second carrots or horse carrots, which are quite large carrots. So these are carrots that are relatively dry. No sugar content, a little bit woody. They're not not really the type of carrot that is graded in the expectation that people are going to be eating a lot of them. In a commercial restaurant, this is kind of where you would get your what's the term I'm looking for? This is where you get your stock carrots from. If you're going to be making a vegan carcasse, because you're going to be roasting something, you wish to roast it on a bed of carrots. These are the carrots you would use. They're not really, these carrots in particular are fairly dry. They were delivered yesterday, but they are still quite dry carrot. So they're not really what you would want for juicing. So yeah, anyway, so if I hadn't bought these 50 kilos of carrots, they would go to a secondary market, so being turned into things like baby carrots, used to make baby food, sold as to people that have horses that like carrots. That is pretty much their purpose. A lot of people don't really understand how commercial farming works. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in it, I'm not a farmer. But there is very little waste in a farm, just due to the massive costs that go into it, the throughputs. So high that a farmer basically has to try and find a market for 100% of their crop if they want to make any money. Maybe the farmer doesn't want to make any money. Maybe he's in it for the love. One of my chef instructors used to say, if he was a Swiss, so imagine it with a slightly French Germanic accent. You'll be right. People who do things for love end up getting fucked. Which, elegant to the point. People say do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, and I'll never point out that hopefully you end up in a relationship with someone you love, and I promise you that'll be work every day of your life until that relationship fails. If that relationship fails. Hopefully you will not be like me and your relationship will not fail. But yeah, there's a lot of things planned for these carrots to be done with, just for shits and giggles, really. Carrot cake, that whole Forrest Gump thing. Like carrot cake, carrot beer, carrot. Well, actually, I know a guy, because of course I'm Australian. I know a guy that's got an air still, and there's a part of me that's like, what if we made like carrot gin? Sit down, ferment some of this up with some vodka yeast. And what if we go hardcore and decide that we are going to make a high alcohol spirit out of carrots? What would that taste like? The answer is terrible. Vodka does not taste like potatoes. For those that haven't tried vodka yet, well, what can I say? Most definitely does not taste like potato. I'm not even sure you'd be able to keep the colour through a distillation process. It would be interesting. So, this is 20 minutes to be halfway through, approximately halfway through the first box. Means we're probably looking at a 2-hour video. 2 hours of me peeling potatoes and trying to come up with something to say, so this video is not just me 2 hours of peeling carrots. But, once again, someone has generously reached into their pocket, pulled out their currency of choice, and decided to pay me to make a video that is peeling carrots. Because apparently this is an impressive skill. Or rather, the display is impressive. As you can see, while doing this stunt, we are thoroughly, not sure if you can see his tiny little head down there. Maybe I should turn the, there we go. Just turn the light on for a little bit more here. You can actually see the supervisor in process. Jorts should be told that this is a fully union operation. We have Jorts merchandise ensuring at all points that this is being done to both the highest standards expected and is done with a compassionate eye towards the worker. I really should have got another bucket to hold the peelings. Oh well. I was going to clean the floor after this anyway. Starting to regret the decision to have not put on gloves. My hands are going to be quite orange. Everyone who's ever done a large amount of veg prep knows exactly what I'm talking about. And they'll know that that colour doesn't scrub out. As you can see, our certified union carrot inspector is ensuring that both the boxes and the carrots maintain the highest standards as they are exposed. For the record, when the guy delivered it to my door, because the front of my house is actually, well, doesn't really matter. We delivered it to my house, and I was there to answer it. He said, "I just want to know, mate. You don't have to tell me. I don't want to pry like he's part of the delivery, but you've only ordered 50 kilos of carrots, mate." Yep. It's a lot of carrots, mate. I mean, like one hit, like obviously, you eat 50 kilos of carrots or whatever. So I'm just curious. Well, have you got any plans for 50 kilos of carrots or something? Or is there like a prank going on or something? Yeah. Maui was out the window and I said, "You see that big orange cat?" And he was like, "Yep." He happens to love carrots. And then I picked up the 3 boxes and started putting them. Well, picked up the first box, started putting it through my front door, and left it at that. And I like to think I've made that guy's world a little bit stranger, because he's always going to be sitting there in the back of his head. So like, is he fucking with me? Like, he ordered 50 kilos of carrots. That's a lot of. I can imagine, you're talking about it. And they did actually call me to confirm the size of the order. Because who orders 50 kilos of carrots delivered to a suburban house? Like, there's some shenanigans going on there, kids. There's something, well, you know what? We'll call the bloody number. That's what we'll do. Call the number. I'm just going through your order, mate. I'm about to pick it. I just wanted to check. We like to check with all our customers. Just want to make sure your order is correct, because sometimes you get these crazy typos in there. It says you want 50 kilos of second-grade carrots, mate. Yeah, mate, that's right. I want 50 kilos of carrots delivered. That's not going to be a problem, is it? No. So we just do this with all orders, mate. How computers are these days. Somebody slips and we don't know if we've made a mistake on our end or there's been a mistake on your end or what. So we just like to check with these orders, You can do like a regular thing. You can order 50 kilos of carrots. Like just for planning purposes, you get, mate. That's a lot of carrots. We just need to make sure if you can be doing it like weekly or whatever. We might just have to up our order a little bit. Yeah. And I just went, "No, mate. It's pretty much just a one-off. Just this one time, I need 50 kilos of carrots. You're going to be able to deliver them on the Wednesday, right? That's not going to be a problem. I do need them for the Wednesday." Yeah, we definitely have them there for you. It's not a problem. We can do it. We just want to make sure the order's right. Yeah, anyway, thanks for your business, mate. Yeah, we'll get that out to you on Wednesday. And I know, someone has been like, okay, so driver. I can't remember the driver's name, so I'm just going to call him Dino because fuck it, why not? Well, Dino, mate. When you go to drop these carrots off, right? Do you want to just make sure that he wanted 50 kilos of carrots? It just feels like there's something sus going on. Maybe you can check, like if it's a kid or something like that, So he's come to this 1920s workers' cottage with fucking huge ass fucking bars on the windows, an overgrown lawn, giant fucking cat in the window. And my heavily tattooed and surly ass going for my cat. They're definitely gonna have fucking questions. He's poor but. And you know, I hope so. I hope that if nothing else, me ordering these carrots and doing this on YouTube, I'm hoping it's making the world a stranger place. I hope that it's injecting just a small 15cc inject of pure weirdness into the world, right to the main vein through the eyeball, so to speak. Because, like, the world is pretty. Look, I got ADHD. That's probably why what I'm about to say is what I'm about to say. Predictable things are kind of boring. You want a little bit of excitement. You want things to be a little bit spicy. You want to be things a little bit bitey. You know, you want to have a bit of joy in your life. You want to not know what every day is going to bring. And people that want to know everything that's going to, like, I get it. You know, all those lucky people that won the lotto. I got autism and ADHD, which loads of fun when you're having a really bad day and you can't regulate either, because you basically want to tear the world in half and you realise you can't, and you can't emotionally regulate that, and everything just falls apart because nothing's the way it's supposed to be, and everything's boring and not exciting enough, and yet everything keeps changing. My head is a wonderful place to be trapped. Anyway, so I hope I've injected a small amount of weird into their life. A little bit of what the fuck is going on. Because there would have been some old guy, he probably breeds rabbits or something like that, you know, who knows, mate, maybe use them for fertiliser. Because I did actually get a really good price on these carrots. All said and done, for 50 kilos of carrots, it was 130 bucks, which, $2.30 a kilo. You know, and that includes shipping. Like, you know, I cannot stress that, you know, 50 kilos of carrots is not something you can actually go to a supermarket and expect to buy. Not in any reasonable shape or form. You know, if you go down to your local Coles, they probably don't have 50 kilos of carrots in the building. And probably not even in a single price. I mean, they might have 50 kilos, but you're going to have to buy the overpriced single kilo bags. They might have some loosies you can get. You know, and you know, even most of the greengrocers, the fruit companies that. Sorry about this noise. I'm just going to manipulate the box because that wonderful styrofoam on styrofoam sound. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So you've kind of got to start, if you want to get 50 kilos of produce, you've got to start making phone calls. And the order was straight up too weird for most of the supply companies I've worked with professionally as a chef, even with established relationships, and calling my reps up and being like, hey mate, this is going to sound so stupid, but I am recording a video for YouTube and I need 50 kilos of carrots. I said YouTube, you freaking pervert. Because there was at least 2 reps that were like, is you making a blue movie with carrots, mate? No, we don't want to be associated with you making some sort of weird OnlyFans stuff. It's like it's YouTube, it's not PornTube. Like, we're not. I would not be doing anything. I'm not going to be sticking these carrots in my body, but that's not quite true. I will be, but not in the way you're thinking of, because the internet is for porn. I mean, also, that just strikes me as insane, because 50 kilos is a lot. Like, I get it. I am a pervert. I do look like a type of thing that children are warned about, you know. I'll joke about lock up your daughter, shoot your son, divorce your wife. That's an old joke about sexy romance. It suddenly occurs to me that a joke that was old when I was young, 30 odd years ago, is probably truly ancient to the kids of this generation. They're like, what are you talking about? He's threatening to shoot his own son. I'm not threatening to shoot anybody. God, why would you do that? Never understood people want to stand up and threaten violence to another person, mate. I get it. it's posture and it's display and it's chasing stuff for clout. But if you're gonna do it, and this is not an endorsement to violence, do not harm people. So you know what? I think I'll just leave that at that before I dig myself into a deep hole on YouTube. Not gonna lie, my mind usually does wander when I do something as repetitive as peeling carrots, especially at work. This is where you just start singing the same song in your head over and over again. Or if you're really lucky, you'll just sing like the same 3 seconds of a song over and over and over again. Till the madness consumes you and you are left. This is actually be much easier when I get this first bucket filled because I'm going to be able to sit this paper bag on top of the bucket, and that's going to make my life a little bit easier. I'm not going to have to bend down quite so far and rest on my knees, which not particularly comfortable. It's comfortable to start with, but clearly this was not designed for probably 16 kilos. I mean, let's be honest, that's kind of what I'm up to right now. Eating 3 boxes, 50 kilos, it'd be what, 16? Maths is hard. You'd want one of 17. And what, 2 of 16 and a half? Yeah. So there is one box that is heavier than the other, but not substantially so, which is why I'm going for that breakdown. Obviously, you probably could have loaded up, you know, a 20 and 2 20s and a 10. The only problem with that is you don't want. For people that have ever used a hand cart, they already know this. But if you're using a hand cart, one of those little 2-wheeled things you see stacked high with food, you don't really want one massively light box. Because what will happen is, as you move along, you'll find there'll be vibrations set up in the load on that trolley. And if you have one box that is dramatically lighter than the others, all the vibrations will go into that box and it will bounce the fuck off. And that will be absolutely magical, because then your load will eat shit and likely to be refused. Because I do not want tomatoes that are full of gravel. That's just me, I'm picky like that. It's that whole fine dining star Michelin experience, hatted Michelin star experience showing through. And to be brutally honest, peeling this many carrots in particular, this is not something you would bother to do in a lower end restaurant. As counterintuitive as it seems, lower end places will either buy in frozen or they'll buy in pre-prep, because pre-prep, when you do your profit, when you look at your profit versus cost, P&L, profit versus loss, it's really looking at profits and costs. One of the things you actually have to do is think of the dollar value of the labour that goes into it. And prepping is 90% of the cost of a meal. That's not how a meal is costed to bit, but when you look at the plating cost, your food cost is ideally below 30%. And your food cost should be below 30%, but I'm repeating myself. And your labour cost should be sitting at 30% i.e. basically a third of the cost of the plating cost is labour. And if you're running a tight enough kitchen, you can actually drive your food costs down, but you can never really drive your labour costs down. In the high end, super high end, like your triple hat, triple star, really high end restaurants, yeah, you'll be able to get chefs that'll work for free. They will work for free to be able to put your name on their resume. And that's kind of a two-edged sword, because sometimes the guy you end up working for refuses to admit that he knows you, and so you just worked for free. Congratulations, you had your labour stolen. So in super fine diets, in high-end places that care about the quality of the food, etc., they will still do shit like peel carrots, because they can run their labour, they can discount the cost of their labour substantially. Sorry, just doing some quick irritating me that I'm missing the bag so badly. Well, there's nothing I can do. Well, there's plenty I can do, but this is the solution we are going for. Anyway, back to the nightmare that is fine dining. So, while there is a lot of money to be made in fine dining, it's generally only for the executive chef, and everybody else gets to fucking root a boot. Because the owner is the one that will be showing up in the brand new Mercedes-Benz, top of the line, wearing the expensive suit, and calling people like the Prime Minister of a nation their friend. And the executive chef will be paid well because, well, they've got a lot at stake. Sorry, just doing some more administration with making sure that I remain hydrated. It should be mentioned that I am doing this in the afternoon. It is currently 4:15 local. For those that are worried about my drinking, I'm actually drinking at what society would consider an acceptable thing. I would argue that this is Australia and it's my Sunday, and the fact that I didn't wake up and immediately start drinking a beer means I'm pretty much golden. I wouldn't do that because, yeah, my brain gets funny with no caffeine and only beer. So, one of the reasons why I'm using this particular knife, a Tornado, people who use knives are probably in the comments right now going, oh, he's using the wrong knife to cut the top of the carrot off, he should be using a paring knife. You can use whatever knife you want. I was actually tempted to be a smartass and go get either a cleaver or perhaps my big 32 centimeter F-Dick butcher's knife and use that to cut the tops off carrots. That did actually strike me as too much effort though, just to fuck with people. There are limits to how much effort I'm going to put into fucking with people. Very hard limits. So yeah, strictly speaking, a tourne or a turning knife is used for cutting carrots and vegetables, turning them into equal shapes. Now the reason they did this was because, well, peelers are a fairly modern invention, but a knife that curves isn't. And by shaping the vegetables by hand, which nobody does anymore outside of America, like ice carving, turning vegetables is a great way if you're using expensive carrots or expensive vegetables that you're turning to get stuff to put in your stock pot. And restaurants, when things like tourne potatoes and tourne carrots and tourne of everything, one, they weren't using single root carrots. It was quite common to get, well, it is quite common with high-end heirloom varieties of carrots to get multi-roots. Now, if you're buying particularly expensive carrots, you can't just turn around and say, fuck it, we're not going to use the carrots that don't have a single taproot. So what you do is you turn them into a shape. That increases your yield. It increases your ability to control costs, and far more importantly and excitingly for the consumer is you know somebody's done it by hand. They've had to stand out the back and waste a whole bunch of time making these perfect little turned carrots and potatoes just so you could look at them for 10 seconds and jam them in your face. It did also equalise the cooking time of whatever vegetable you did. Tourne is usually done to root vegetables. But if you're crazy, I know people that practice tourne or displayed tourne and things like the inner stem of broccoli or cauliflower or things like that, which you normally turn into soup. Waste not, what not. And I try to score off by doing that. I used to be able to do Torno fairly well. Unfortunately, my hands are too significantly damaged to work properly to Torno. I had a severed two tendons in America that was repaired by a thumb-fisted son of a bitch. Apparently was a decent surgeon who was very good at hands, and when I came back to Australia and I was seen by an orthopaedic surgeon over here that worked in a public hospital in the middle of nowhere, I was very politely asked to name and shame the doctor so that he could not continue to practice in Australia because they were horrified at the surgical repair that was done. It was described by an Indian doctor as a quote-unquote Mumbai hack job, and the worst tendon repair he had ever seen, and was probably worse than any he'd ever read about. But that was done by, like I said, apparently the best orthopaedic hand guy in the New England region. They were telling me a former spouse about that, and was promptly told, well, if that's true, you should sue. And I responded, how is suing the hospital that he works for going to prevent him from doing surgery in the future? Which is kind of the desired outcome when somebody fucks up surgery badly, is it you. I'm not wired up like many people, like everybody else. I do not wish to see other people suffer just because I have suffered. I am also not going to pursue a difficult, arduous, and what I would consider a largely frivolous activity, such as suing the shit out of someone for money, because money is inherently valueless. It has the value that we ascribe to it. If you ascribe no value to it, it has no value. I mean, and I know that sounds like poor people talk, and well, if you had money you wouldn't say stuff like that. And it's like, well, yeah, you know what, if I'd been born rich I probably wouldn't have gone through a lot of the significant life experiences I've gone through. I sure as shit wouldn't have married the person that I later divorced. They divorced me. Whatever. Who cares? I wouldn't have ended up a chef. Probably would have been diagnosed with ADHD and autism earlier in my life, back when it would have made a difference. Probably would have had money from generational wealth at a point at which it would have mattered. Like, this is the whole thing. Like, thought about it now, like, because people at work always ask these questions, like, what would you do if you won $1 million? And I'm like, I don't know. Probably donate it to a charity or something. Oh yeah, get your name, immortalize your name forever. And I'm like, no, I'm old. I'm 40 and I am a Pacific Islander. My life expectancy is late 50s, early 60s. I've got, if I was a clean living person, all things being equal, I would have another 20 years left in me, tops. People with ADHD don't generally live a decade shorter than other members of the age cohort, all things being equal. You know, my dad was stolen away from his people and raised by white people. That reduces the life expectancy of the person that happens to by about 20 years. It also reduces the life expectancy of their children by about a decade. Without putting too fine of a point on it, when you look at it statistically, even if the world wasn't on fire, even if everything wasn't going to hell in a handbasket, I can realistically expect to live maybe another 15 years tops. See, in my early 20s, I didn't know I had ADHD, So one of my coping mechanisms was destructive. I would go to the gym. I know, right? Looking at me, you can definitely tell I used to go to the gym. I used to exercise to the point that my bones would start to crack. I'd be like, hey doc, my clavicles hurt. What's going on? Holy shit, man! We just done an X-ray. Looks like your tendons are peeling back away from the bone because you're fucking doing too much exercise. You need to rest. You need to heal. Okay, cool. Fucking next minute, back in the fucking gym. I've always drunk too much. I do everything 100% at all times. I have 2 speeds, on and off. None of these things contribute to a long and peaceful life. But that's okay. Like, come to accept things the best that I can, bearing in mind that I have the emotional development of a 17-year-old, which is one of those fun things that people who aren't autistic don't really get and don't understand how frustrating it is when people say, like, you know, you're acting like a teenager. It's like, I can't fucking help it. I'm doing my best to cope here, but I've got a brain that has not developed coping mechanisms for dealing with emotional stress beyond that which you would expect to see in a 17-year-old. Once again, you know, great and all, but what do you do for an encore? Anyway, so even if I came into a dramatically large amount of life-changing money, I'm not sure I would use it because I kind of feel like my life's all used up. I kind of done everything. I don't want to have a restaurant, and I don't want to be the best chef in the world, nation. There was a point when I was younger when that really didn't matter to me, and I really wanted that. And, well, I went through some traumatic shit. See, the bit that nobody ever really wants to talk about when you survive intensely traumatic experiences, it's not the flashbacks to those situations that will eat you up inside. It's not the thing that messes you up the most about them is when you start thinking about what you gave up to survive, to have lived through things, bad stuff. There's only so much of yourself that you can. Well, you can see I'm extremely organised, and I've got this thing Reiki Tech 100% dialed in. None of this amateur hour bullshit here, kids. This is amateur afternoon. Anyway. Yeah. If you go through something traumatic and you survive it, your own survival will require you to make compromises with yourself. And to me, those compromises that I had to make, the parts of myself that I had to let die so the rest of me could live. They were the parts of me that wanted to have a future that was worth something, that wanted to have a legacy, that felt there was a future worth fighting for. I don't really believe that anymore. I don't see a personal future for me that is worth shit. I'm not going to lay down and die. I'm not going to stop being the best that I can be at my job. But it's like, that extra above and beyond, that gasoline on the fire that drove me to want to be the best, to want to constantly improve myself, to want to that needed to be worth the person that was in my life. Well, that's gone. Tank's empty. Ain't nothing left but the inevitable slide to the grave. You know. Once again, I apologise for the styrofoam on styrofoam noises. Well, there's maybe a kilo left in this box, so there we go. The highlight timestamps on this video are going to be amazing. You know, this is when he changed the bucket. This is when he. This is going to be even less viewed than most of my videos. The date of recording this, I have something like 32 subscribers. Of that, I suspect most of them are bots. Or people that don't watch the videos. I have approximately, last 28 days, I've had 0.2 hours of my videos watched, and I got like 20 something hours of content. So this video is 100% not algorithm friendly. But if you're watching, if you're listening to this to go to sleep, I hope it puts you to sleep. I hope my voice doesn't give you nightmares. I hope that the sound is working, because I got no way to tell, because I'm just recording this using a really shitty program on my PC, because I keep meaning to upgrade the capabilities of what I'm doing here, and I've got a relatively decent directional microphone, I've got a relatively decent camera. But man, these videos, the making of the videos, the actual tech that goes behind it, making the videos is fine. Once I start doing something, I'll see it through. But these videos themselves, like the editing, like I don't edit my videos because I can't, it bores the shit out of me. I can't even be bothered, so I don't edit videos. These are all just a continuous stream of bullshit from the beginning to the end. Where does the math start? This will never be my job. I will never actually be a real honest-to-God influencer. Not interested enough. Kind of the same with my Twitter. Like, if I did some more internal policing, you know, more consistent with the things that I talk about and like, had an overall focus for my Twitter, it would probably be much bigger. I could probably turn myself into an influencer. I'm just not that interested in it. Like, as much as we call it the dopamine mines, it kind of never held that much of an interest for me. Damn, we're down to 8 carrots in this first box. And I'm probably going to take the chance to change out this bag because I'm worried that it's going to absorb too much moisture and that's going to collapse on me. And that will be disgusting. So the reason I'm using paper, for the record, is that paper is biodegradable. So what's going to happen is these bags are literally just going to be dumped in my herb garden, and the plants are going to turn it into new herbs. because that's what I do with all my organic waste. Well, all my organic food waste. I should say that. What I do is I shit into a drum sieve. I just throw that on the hubs. Who needs to buy fancy fertilizers? You make your own. Oh, wow. Yeah. That'd definitely be a thing. That'd be a thing. But then you shouldn't eat vegetables that you grow in human excrement. I don't care what the only Martian or the Martian with I don't care what that says, okay? Should not be eating food you grew in your own shit. Especially not fucking potatoes. God damn, fucking vegetable. Don't have enough water to be able to fucking wash them, you dumb son of a bitch. Anyway. He makes his own water through making a bomb and blowing the shit out of himself. I mean, my favourite part of the whole thing is that the wound that he suffers that makes them abandon him is only survivable in the highly unlikely situation that he is impaled by a solid rod that is non-conductive in any way, shape or form. Which technically, yes, you can make an antenna out of composites. Solid composites, which you wouldn't do for weight because the spaceship, let's be honest, is going to be hollow. Composites to save weight, but you're going to have to run some wire around it so it's an antenna. And if you got one of them lodged in your chest, well, if it's hollow, you're in deep trouble because the systolic pressure of your own blood is just going to keep oozing shit out the end, even if it freezes solid. It's not going to freeze that solid. But the bigger thing is, blood's still relatively conductive of heat. Like, you're exposing your body, the core of your body, the bit that you want to keep warm, has now got a dirty, great big fucking conductive rod in it. And you're going to bleed heat, which will kill you. Not as fast, obviously, as being fucking impaled on a giant piece of metal would. I mean, that's usually a fairly terminal experience for most of the people that are involved. The rod is usually fine. Unless, like, the fireys get involved and they decide to do a polectomy with the jaws of life or whatever, because they don't feel like opening the sunroof of the ambulance to let the ride roll with you. But generally, in most cases, when people are impaled on a pole, the pole comes out just fine. You usually have to go to the clinic and get itself a blood test, make sure it hasn't picked up any diseases from the human it's impaled. But generally... Oh my god, this is the penultimate carrot for this box. We're now 1/3 of the way through the carrots. So, we're looking at a 3-hour video here, kids. So, this is probably going to be something you're going to put on when someone you don't like is trying to sleep to give them nightmares. I wake up, having heard my disturbing voice and the constant peeling of carrots, tell you some nightmare they had about Matt Damon getting stabbed by a conductive rod and freezing to death, and how the rod was really, really fine and went on to have 2.5 kids and live in suburbia, and they'll be confused and scared. And that's a good thing, because like I said, I like to think that I'm injecting a small amount of weirdness into people's lives. We all need more weirdness. And if you don't think you need more weirdness, you are the reason why we need more weirdness, okay? We need more men in multicoloured leather kilts walking around in knee-high snake pants. Just existing. Not doing anything, just going with the shots. You know, we need bikies wearing My Little Pony t-shirts. We need more bikies in My Little Pony t-shirts. Now, if we just very carefully opens the tape, which will make a horrible noise and get thrown into a different bin. Sorry for people that are wearing headphones. Once again. Come on. Come on, Mr. Box. You know you want to open. Maybe I should try buying it a beer and licking its ear. It usually works for me. Oh wait, there we go. We are in like sin. Oh. Ooh. Boxy McBox, is this your first time? And we'll just remove the last of the synthetic protective material. Nice, I actually made it halfway to the kitchen. Didn't actually get the bin successfully, but I made it almost to the bin, and I think that should count. Okay. We are on to the second box. Feel an overwhelming sense of dread about how long this is going to take. But this is the price of... I'm absolutely fucking this up for everybody that wants to watch the skill, of which you haven't seen for the last hour. I have a feeling the reason this video was made, or why the person... Shout out to Neolithic Shepherd. You're a son of a bitch, mate. I hope you're fucking happy. I don't think it's really the display of skill that he did. I think the reason why he slapped the money down on the barrel head was a case of shut up or put up or shut up. Motherfucker, I don't even speak English. Fuck. Anyway, this video is going to be definitely marked made for kids. Contains hardcore swearing, discussions of pornography, and bikers in leather, multicoloured leather kilts. What every child needs to grow up normal. I have suspect that he may have been, because I did actually, I quite often bitch when people sit there and say my job is unskilled. I'm like, fuck off, go get a 50 kilo bag of carrots and peel that. Tell me unskilled my job is. And you know, at the end of it, and I said that, you know, I also made a line that I would never be able to make a video of me cooking, because if I was to make an honest video of me cooking, it would be 2 hours long. Because I would want to include the prep with no cutaways, because I hate editing, because I'm crap. But I want to include the whole thing. Like, I would just want to be like, bam, here is your video. And that kind of wouldn't work, because it would be hours, like, you know. And, you know, I think he currently recovering from some pretty hardcore pectoral surgery. And he wanted this video because, well, he's bored and wanted entertaining things to see. And I hope a 3-hour video of me peeling carrots and bitching and drinking beer while I sit here in a goofy ass apron, hands becoming more and more fucking orange. Hell, you know what I'm going to do? When I post this, I'm going to put a link. I've started doing virtual hiking challenges, and in October I'm doing a thing called Lift the Load, which is 50-kilometre walking. You basically just count your steps, and you walk 50 kilometres through the month of October in total while wearing a 10-kilo weight vest. I'm going to put the link for that underneath this video. I'm going to turn this into a charity stream. So the foundation that is running this event, Top Bloke Foundation, is done for... They do programs for school-age boys, teaching them ways to deal with being masculine without resorting to toxic masculinity, which, look, I kind of disagree with the message they teach. In particular, I kind of disagree with their stance on pornography. I don't think pornography is to blame for people's shitty interpersonal relationships, and I don't think it's the be-all and end-all of problems. Did you guys just hear a bell? Maui doesn't have any toys with bells in them. Oh, it's going to be fun finding out what he's just discovered. What do I own that has bells on it? Anyway. Definitely not the things that I have that have bells on them I can't actually talk about on YouTube. Not that this will ever be monetized. Anyway, I don't believe that pornography, or that the fact the average kid is looking at pornography at 11, is a huge problem, and this is my reasoning for it. And I realise that I'm pulling from personal experience. and that's a really dangerous thing to go for. However, a lot of the guys I knew growing up, there was porn being passed around in year 4, which, for the record, is about, you know, it's about 11 in Australia. It's 4th grade. So, and I don't just mean like soft stuff either. Like, I remember the first porno I ever saw was not. It was actually pretty hardcore BDSM porno. That a guy whose dad was a trucker, he'd stolen it from the truck, and his dad never found out about it because, like, this guy's truck was just fucking full of porn. Now, while that did set me on a path to wanting a spicier type of horizontal folk dancing than most, I don't think it, like, I don't have terrible. I've never had a bad idea of what a relationship is supposed to be. Like, I'm shit at having relationships, but that comes from undiagnosed emotional developmental problems. You know, I have problems with social interactions. They're tremendously difficult for me. And, you know, as I've told stories before, like, I didn't realise my former spouse was even flirting with me until I was inside them. Like, because I was so oblivious to it. I just thought they were being nice, and we were just, you know, in my bedroom, in our underwear, watching Monty Python on YouTube, in our underwear, because it was like, it actually was pretty hot. So the underwear thing is not like, okay, if they're in their underwear, they want to have sex with you. No, it was actually stupidly hot, and the air conditioning wasn't working. And so it wasn't like unreasonable. Like, you know, I actually thought it was pretty cool that, you know, this person was comfortable enough around me to be able to sit around in their underwear and, you know that I could be trusted not to try and put the moves on them. And I was actually thinking it was pretty cool that we had that kind of mate shit. I sound like such a wanker. I actually thought we were just good friends until we started having sex. And then I realised that we were dating. Because it never actually occurred to me that we were dating, because I liked them and I didn't think I had a chance, because I'm not very good at dating. Because people get very bored very quickly when they're like, you're cute, and I'm like, wow, I like your sneakers. Want to go play foosball? It's a very special person that's like, I do have cool sneakers, and yes, I want to fucking play snoozeball. Also, I want to be in a romantic relationship with you. Because, like, yeah. I'm not a shiny distracted type of ADHD person. I'm an extremely fast thinking type ADHD person. So what happens is my brain, it makes leaps of deduction that if I was to sit down and go through step by step, you would all sit there and go, no, that actually makes sense. You're not full of shit, yeah. But I tend not to show my working. I just sit there and go, here's the fucking answer. Bam. And walk away, because at this point I'm now bored, because I've solved the problem. There are certain situations and certain fields in which that is a very good thing. It's not very good for social interactions. People don't like it when you're like, bam, this is the solution. See you next week. But yeah, so I didn't actually realise that person liked me until, yeah, like, there was full-on nudity and adult horizontal folk dancing was occurring. Up until that point, I was just kind of like, huh. And then, like, you know, obviously we talked afterwards, like I'm not a fucking savage. Although they had been in a bad relationship, so they weren't like a hang around and cuddle, which that was actually quite confronting for me. Someone that would want to have sex and then be like, okay, I'm going now. It's like, but why? Don't you want to talk and cuddle? Like, yeah, you can do that tomorrow. See ya. I don't think they ever actually got that. That kind of sucks. Don't get me wrong, sex is fun, but I prefer the cuddling afterwards. That's the part I like the best. Everything else is just the prep work to get to post-coital hugging. A semi-final, surprisingly sad fact is that one of the things I did when I came back to Brisbane after the former spouse had thrown me away because they didn't want to be poor and that was a waste of space and I was never going to amount to anything. Went out and bought a Smeg kettle and a Smeg toaster. Now, if you know anything about Smeg, you know that I've just admitted to spending $300 on something that burns bread and boils water, which is an excessive amount of thing to pay, especially for an Italian brand name that I don't particularly care about. But when I was talking earlier about the parts of you that you kill to survive, that was me killing a little part of me, killing the last part of me, so that I could survive. See, one of the fun little talks we had was we both loved Red Dwarf. This was kind of before the problematic shit that has popped up in more recent years. We're talking about this is a decade ago, before the seasons had restarted, before we had transphobic comments coming from writers Grant and Naylor. Back when it was just a weird little fucking show that had kind of died in the 90s. And they loved the term smeg. You know. So I actually went out as my final act of murdering the person that I was. And I bought myself a red smeg kettle and toaster combination. Because I still... The video games that we used to play together, I can't play. I did a Twitch stream of Stubbs the Zombie, which was a game I got on the original Xbox way back in the day that they bought me a copy of because we had an original Xbox when I lived in America. And it's a cult classic now. It's a really hard game to get. The studio that made it, Bungie, it was made using the Halo engine. It was kind of a bit of a tech display, hoping to sell the engine. I'm guessing like the Unreal Engine, etc. Anyway, it took a lot for me to play that game on PlayStation. When I saw it was available in the PlayStation Store. I did a Twitch stream of the whole playthrough, and it was pretty hard. And that's why I got a Smeg kettle, because every day I come in to my kitchen to make myself breakfast, and I have to look at a red Smeg kettle and a red Smeg toaster. Because I need it to hurt so I don't start romanticising that relationship. I need, yeah. It's not so much not getting over someone, because hi, I'm autistic. I don't actually get to move on from trauma. I just get to relive it in exciting ways. It's about, it is about being able to prove the shit they said is a lie. You know? And yeah, it is a bit of a wank. Would a poor person spend $300 on a kettle? No, a stupid person would. Why did I do it? Why didn't I go and get like, why didn't I pay $300 to get like a decent fucking kettle instead of a fucking Smeg kettle, a Smeg toaster that are not actually that good? Why didn't I get like the Mitsubishi toaster, like the fucking Cadillac Grange of fucking toasters? Because they loved Red Dwarf so much. They loved Red Dwarf. And when they learnt about Smeg appliances, our dream house was going to be filled with Smeg appliances, and they were going to be bright red, and it was going to make them giggle. And that was the dream house that we built. In those moments when you're a couple, that you build these things. And the most hurtful thing that was said during the whole divorce was that being with me meant that dream house was never going to happen. And so, me buying that overpriced fucking water heating device and bread burning device is to make what they said a lie. Which I left Facebook and I left all our mutual friends and I let them say whatever the fuck they wanted about me. I've more or less allowed their lies to stand unchallenged. But that stupid kettle and toaster, that's my fuck you. I get to look at that and know that whoever spoke to them and convinced them that a chef would not earn money, or that I was incapable of earning money, or that I would never have the nice things that I promised would not exist. That's my little monument to the lie, that they are a liar, and it doesn't matter. It's not, you know, until I mentioned this moment, no one knows. Like, it's not like I fill my freaking kitchen. I'm like, here's the snare. Like, you know, I don't have a little fucking engraved thing on it. I just have a nice kettle and a toaster, and it's the final fuck you. It is the greatest defiance I can summon, is to have these and look at them and go, you were wrong about me. You weren't wrong to love me. You weren't wrong to have dreamed with me. You're wrong to have think that I couldn't build those goddamn dreams. Because I can. And the fact that I no longer dream, and that I no longer try and build dreams, it's not because I can't. It's because I don't want to. And yeah, once again, you'll sit there and go, that's not a very mature thought process to have. Maybe you should grow up. Have you ever thought of, I don't know, going to therapy? Yes, I am going to therapy. How do you think I know I have the emotional development of a 17-year-old? How do you think I know the reason why I'm doing this is childish and immature? Like, I know this. I just don't get to develop any further. The great hidden cost of autism. Being neurodivergent. Developmental disability. You know? We have huge, overwhelming emotions because we don't know how to regulate them, because our brains aren't emotionally developed fully. Yes, we feel things more intensely, but I remember what being a teenager was like. It sucked, didn't it? You know? And shit, that's why so many otherwise left-leaning people kind of agree with the whole, well, you know, maybe the Nazis weren't wrong to get rid of all the autistic people. We are challenging. We are annoying. We also tend to be subject matter experts, which fucks up the whole narrative. I used to think I was an asshole because I was good enough at the various jobs that I've done that society gave me permission to be an asshole. You know, that whole, if you're to be this much of an asshole, you must be this good little sign. And I was this good, so I got to be an asshole. The reality is, I'm good enough at jobs that are esoteric enough and not very practical, and the people that tend to excel at them that are neurotypical tend to be practical enough to overlook my absurd eccentricities, because you don't find people that are very good at these jobs very often, cooking in particular. Everyone cooks. I mean, the junior sous chef where I currently work spent 12 years working in a 3 Michelin star hotel in Dubai. And the amount of shit he doesn't know about cooking blows my mind. And it's absolutely hilarious when he and I work together, because we just start talking. And everyone's like, wow, you guys know so much about cooking. And this guy that spent 12 years in a triple star kitchen is like, I don't know anything compared to this idiot. Like, this potato person over here knows more, does more, has more practical skills. Like, yep. Do you get that now? And now the sun is gently reflecting of fucking tall, white-ass skyscrapers that, well, they're apartment blocks, they're not skyscrapers, they're maybe, what, 14 stories tall. We're now getting the quiet afternoon light. Clouds are starting to burn away. It's actually, as much as I hate suburbia and I rail against it, there is a very certain type of old working class suburbia that I kind of love. And I happen to live in it. I live in an area that historically was dock workers. That's why this is a worker. This is why I live in a workers' cottage from the 1920s. Back when Brisbane was a port up to the city, up the Brisbane River, the dock workers used to live in the suburb that I currently live in, and the streets are narrow. There's all sorts of weird little laneways. There are weird size eighth of an acre blocks with, you know, quarter acre blocks that have houses that share a driveway on them, like mine. It's, yeah, these weird little houses with their weird little backyards, and I've got like a tiny little courtyard, and got a little bit of backyard lawn, and I've got myself a salamander, a vegetable patch. And I have a white picket fence. Now the picket is cast out of concrete from the 1950s, but the spirit is there. It is definitely white, and it is picket-like. And I don't own this house, I rent here, and I don't know whether I'm going to get to extend my lease, or what is going to happen. I would like to stay here a little bit longer. It is kind of, yeah. It is not a dream by any stretch of the imagination. It is a nice little part of the world that I can pretend that is mine, that I can pretend I belong in. And that's kind of going to be enough, isn't it? Like, the reason I'm wistful is one of the things that I've had to come to peace with is I do not have the ability to buy a house. Now, it's not because I can't save money and that I'm crap and that my job doesn't pay enough money. Oh, no. My divorce cost me $40,000 and I've paid it all off in 5 years. Unfortunately, with the way things are going right now, that would have been my housing deposit. Like, I could have, if that event had not happened, I would be able to buy it. I would own a house straight off the bat. I would not be paying rent. I would be living in a house that I own with probably a giant goddamn husky running around the place and barking. And like, it's not even so much about I liked the person I was married to and I'd like to spend the rest of my life with them, because I did. Like, sometimes they were an asshole. They could be incredibly selfish. They could be goddamn ignorant, arrogant, and so fucking indescribably racist. Like, but I can also be a complete and utter bastard myself. Like, nobody's perfect. And before we start raving about the racist thing, like, you kind of got to accept, unfortunately, if you're Indigenous, you have to accept that even people that love you will be fucking racist. My own mother, who loves me deeply, is racist. My sisters, who are also Indigenous, can also be extremely, extremely racist. Like, it is a thing that you just have to deal with, like, forever. So you can... I don't have racist people in my friend circle because I'm not dealing with... You got to be putting an awful lot in my life for me to deal with stuff like that. But there's also a lot of good. Like, I liked the way they emoted when I gave them something I made and I wasn't sure if it was good. I like the way when we'd watch YouTube videos on my computer, they'd put their feet in my lap so I would rub them, and that would make them wiggle with glee. I like the way that every time they wanted to talk about, if they were talking about something important, they would do this little sing-song voice. Like, I thought it was freaking adorable. But, even with all those positives, me being melancholy about not buying a house is less about having that person in my life, and that having had that person in my life cost me the ability of something that was kind of like, society kind of promised us that shit growing up. Like, that was one of the great promises, get a good trade, done. Work hard, done. Be frugal, done. And you will get to have your little house and your yard, and it will be yours. Well, the banks, but you get to have it. You won't have to rent forever. You get to have this tiny little postage stamped dream that is yours. And if you want to take the doors off the goddamn hinges, or if you just want to have a giant effing lounge room instead of having a spare room and a lounge room, or if you want to freaking tear out the kitchen cupboards and replace them with freaking freestanding shelving, well, guess what? You can do all these things because it's yours. I'm never going to have that. And that's kind of how it is. And I kind of hate it when people sit there and go, "You're wallowing in your pain when you talk about these things." It's like, you know what? No. Because I realise that people don't want to hear this. People don't want to hear it when I say, yeah, look, I don't want to be in a relationship because the last time I was serious about someone, they fucked me over 9 ways from Sunday, and I never want to trust ever again. I never want to be in that position ever again, so I would rather live with my cat. And, like, because of that event, I will never get to buy a house. Oh, you'll get the money again, something will happen. Like, stuff doesn't just happen. Like, if we're all hoping to win fucking $1 million on the lottery so we can buy our own postage stamp sized dreams, we can't all win. And I don't think it is being melancholy or nihilistic or even morose to sit there and say, well, I didn't win. I tried my best, but I didn't win. You know? Because I think we have to acknowledge that, one, not everybody wins, just by the definition of the word. Not everybody can win. But also more deeply, more critically to my thinking, we need to acknowledge the fact that we live in a system that can't even deliver what we consider to be the absolute bare minimum entry level shit that a society should be able to provide to members of its own society. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's not popular with leaders and the hyper wealthy, but the whole society, that whole thing that gives them power and money, that exists so that the only reason society and that power exists is so that we all get enough to eat, so we all get shelter, so we all get safety. That is the point. And when you're in a society that has decided that, well, no, not everybody gets safety, not everybody gets food, not everybody gets shelter, all those things that you have to sacrifice to be in a society, you know, you've got to ask yourself serious questions as to the veracity and worthwhileness of being in that society. I mean, it's all hypothetical anyway, because you can't actually leave society. I'm talking from an Australian context in this next bit, just because I'm not familiar enough with how it works in the rest of the world to be able to say 100% for sure, this is how it is. I'm sure if you're in freaking the Siberian tundra, 2,000 miles from the nearest post office, you might actually be able to escape from society. However, the reality is, even in a place like Australia, even if you were to piss off into the deepest, darkest heights of Cape York, which I would not recommend, but if you did decide to disappear and go off the grid, eventually you'll be found for trespassing. You will have broken some law. Like, it is illegal not to vote in Australia. You have to vote in elections. So if you piss off to the top of Cape York to into the Gulf of Carpentaria and decide to live up there in one of the thousands of islands of the Torres Strait, well, good luck, because that's a heavily monitored part of Australia, so you will be spotted almost immediately. You will assume to be the absolute most innocent thing that the authorities will assume you to be as a drug smuggler. And so you'll be brought in for spotlight and no sleep talky talks. Because we're not going to physically harm you. No, we're not barbarians. We're just not going to let you sleep. And we'll just keep you awake until you crack. Most people only last 3 days when you do that to them for some odd reason. People will do anything for sleep. Anyway, even if you piss off up there, eventually you'll be brought back into the system. Okay, cool. You're not just going to grab a van and piss off hashtag van life into the wilds of Carpentaria. Alright, cool. Yeah, I understand that. You're going to buy a farm and you're going to fence off the boundary. You're not going to leave it. You're going to grow all the food you want. You're not going to leave. No one's going to bother you. You're going to go totally off grid. So you actually need to pay council rates. You'll get away with not paying your council rates for, depending on the exact region you live in, somewhere between 7 and 10 years before the council will just drag you to court. Bear in mind, if you have blocked off your letterbox, you don't actually have a driveway for the postie to come up and deliver your mail. And I'm guessing you're not going to your post box too often to have a chat with the postie, so there's no way for them to serve you, so they'll just conveniently ignore that. And you might be able to launch a successful appeal based on that, but what will happen is the council will sit there and wait till you've racked up at least $10,000 worth of owed rates to make it worth their while, because this has got to be worth their while to legislate. And then what they'll do is they'll take you to court. And they will sue to gain the rights to your property. And they will evict you. Because you haven't paid your rates, so, and we live in a society. Ah, yes, you may have removed your driveway, your letterbox, etc., 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 but that doesn't mean you get to leave. I mean, the closest you could get is if you were to piss off into the Pacific Ocean on a boat. However, the United States Navy, along with other navies, maintains the right to stop and search all civilian vessels they come across at sea. So your little sovereign citizen, I don't answer to no man shit, will be then staring down the United States Navy. Assuming you don't get fucked over by a storm, or the fact that you can't grow, you can't have enough food just by sailing around the oceans to survive. I realise that's a very common fantasy among Bitcoin people and the hyper wealthy. We just live on the ocean. We'll be able to grow everything we need. It'll be fine. You can't actually. Trust me, I'm descended from Polynesians. There's a reason why we live on islands, dickhead. We are the people who invented transoceanic travel. We are the originals and the best when it comes to navigation. We still lived on islands, predominantly. So, good luck with your little 1,000 people living on an oil rig in the middle of the, well, wherever. And you know, all these things, like a good storm will come along and fuck you up. Even if you could be left alone, you know, the police at least once will come and do a welfare check. Like, you can't leave society. You are not allowed to leave. And yeah, I'm sure there are people in deepest, darkest Siberia, or who are living in the Mojave Desert, or some shit like that, who'll be like, no, I managed to escape into the wilds completely off grid. Nobody came for me. Alright, what are you doing on YouTube then, mate? Well, I got bored, so I got myself one of them satellite phones. I got earbuds. Like, that's kind of it. We are social creatures that enjoy being in societies. We'll keep making them. We're not very good at it. Like, no way, shape, or form should human beings think we are good at making societies. But, much like an 8-year-old wanting to make fucking cookies, we love making them. We're not good, but we love it. That's why we keep ending up with these weird-ass fucking societies. And then people come up with their own recipes going, society would be great if you just add raisins instead of fucking chocolate chips. Or how about if we add peanuts and macadamia nuts to the cookie? Ooh, I've got a great idea, Dave. What we're going to do to this society is it's going to be a peanut butter and caramel chocolate society. That is great. For the record, there are 2 things that I hate that I will never eat. Peanut butter cookies and those god-awful caramel milk chocolate, whatever the hell you want to call them, okay? They're an abomination. They are unholy in the eyes of whatever god you believe in. And as far as I'm concerned, forcing people to eat them or tricking people into eating them is a hate crime. You know, generally, cooking for people, giving them food is a loving act that you wish to continue their society. If you give someone fucking peanut butter cookies, you don't want them to live. That's hate right there. It's like mailing someone a loaf of bread made out of concrete. Like, you may think you're doing the right thing, but you know, like, what's wrong with you? Like, who hurt you? Show me on the dog where they touched you. Ooh, God, don't show me. Okay, I know we're a safe place, and we all want to talk about our feelings. But Davo, you don't get to talk about your feelings ever again. We're tired of hearing about your feelings. We're tired of hearing about you. For the record, if you're called David or Davo, I don't mean to pick on you. It's just every time I've been involved in a situation, a group situation, the person that's acting the biggest dickhead is always fucking Davo. Or Dougie. But Dougie's not very common anymore. Thanks to, well, even with the leaps and bounds that medical science has come across, Dougies tend to be so aggressively stupid and full of such indescribably bad ideas. People whose nickname is Dougie tend to not belong to this world. And I think that's a good thing, you know. Because if you're the type of parent that, you know, gestates young and brings them into this world and looks down at this innocent newborn child filled full of hope and wonder and promise and go, Douglas, you really, really hate that kid. Like, I ain't judging you. I get it. Like, maybe they're like your 14th kid, and at this point you're just trying to finish off that 20 stamp, stamp book, the stamp card that, you know, after the 20th one you get a Bugatti Veyron or something. Yeah, so I get it, like, you know, at that point. But, and I'm sorry if you're an only child called Douglas. I'm sorry that this is how you found out your parents had you. You know, we're Davo or David. They're not bad. It's just that, like, every guy that goes by Davo, it's like, yeah. It's like Craigles, which is another great Australian nickname for people called Craigs. If your nickname is Craigles, you're a date rapist. Sorry. I don't make the rules, I just observe them. Like, yeah. If all your mates call you Craigles, that's a subtle warning that Australians are flashing out to everybody else that do not allow unconscious people near this person called Craigles, because Craigles will assault them in ways that, quite frankly, are rightfully felonies and serious crimes in most places, and they deserve to be shunned. I would question as to why people are friends with someone they call Craigles. However, I do understand that there is a certain drive in people to be sheepdogs and keep an eye on the obvious danger. And that's kind of what a person whose nickname is Craigles kind of is. It's always terrifying when a woman goes, "This is my boyfriend, Craig. I call him Craigles." It's like, "Ooh, babe, why are you doing?" No, come on. We'll go down to the prison and we'll find you a better one. One that doesn't have like a penis tattooed on his forehead that happened to be bucking dough when he was 20. Yeah, he's 42 now and he probably should have had that lasered off. It's not a great story. Slight tangent joke. A guy I worked with, who was called Craig but not Craigles, actually had on his temple. So this would have been about 2010 that I met him. Yeah, it would have been the end of 2010 when I first moved back to Brisbane. When I first moved to Brisbane, the first time. I met a guy, very briefly worked for a guy called Craig, that he was in his 40s and he had tattooed on the temple of his head a penis. Just like the traditional, like, two circles joined with a shaft, like the type of dick that you would see drawn by a high school kid that's not very good at art. Like, it wasn't like an accurate one. And when I met him as an apprentice, he was just a commie chef. 40-year-old commie chef, that's a fucking warning sign right there, kids. He was like, "Oh yeah, just you're gonna ask about the tattoo, right? And I'm just gonna get it out there at the open. My 18th birthday party, I got super pissed, and one of my mates was a tattooist, and I got blackout drunk, and I dared him to tattoo me, and he wouldn't. And then I had sex with his sister and his girlfriend, and I woke up with this on my tattooed on the side of my temple." And my first question was, "Why haven't you gotten it removed? This happened 20 years ago." And he's like, "Well, he's still a mate, yeah? He's still my mate." It's like, I don't understand what's going on inside your head. I'm not sure you're a real human being. You know what I mean? Like, if you wander this world long enough, you'll eventually come across people that make you squint at them to see if they're really human beings. Like, you know, quite a few times in America, I interacted with people that, and there was just nothing going on the inside. You're like, "Hey man, how you going?" "Yeah, I'm good." And, like, you know, you sit there and go, "Oh, that's just a stoner." Yeah, I agree with you in that case. But when you meet the perky girl, you're like, "So, what do you think of recent event?" And they're like, "I don't know." Like, there's just nothing going on inside. It's like, without being rude, it's like somebody got me a 5'10" Barbie doll and has dumped it inside this bar, and now they're dealing with me, and I feel bad for both of us. Oh, there was this microbrewery, not even a microbrewery, not big enough to be a goddamn microbrewery, in Redmond in Seattle, where the dude and the girl that were running this thing, so this is 2014 in Seattle, so first thing we need to establish is that the microbrewery scene in Seattle at the time, it may still be the case, but I haven't been there recently, At the time, the micro and pico brewery scene, so pico is smaller than micro, just for those that are wondering, scene was such that breweries popped up and went out of existence like in a month. You know, you'd get a brewery pop up in the back of Redmond in that industrial area heading towards Sonomish, on the western side of, God, not Lake Washington, that god awful lake that's down near the Whole Foods. Y'all, if you know Seattle, if you know Redmond, you know where I'm talking about. That god awful Whole Foods at the back of Redmond. Anyway, near the Lowe's. Anyway, so there's this weird little industrial areas like truck parks and like the near the post office. The post office distribution centre. Not like the post office that's nice that you go to do normal post office stuff, but the one that's got all the trucks and, you know, a sign out the front saying, if you bring a gun onto these properties, the federal government is not just going to hang, draw, and quarter you. They're going to dip you in barbecue sauce and serve you at our Christmas party, because that's how dead you're going to be. You know, the sign that sits there and says there's $1 million fine and jail for 10,000 years if you go in there with a gun. Anyway, and so these breweries, these tiny little breweries that were basically like operating in like vape store sized areas. That's why they were pico breweries. They were maybe producing 1,000 litres a week at most, which that may sound like a lot to the average gamer, but I could buy a pico brewery setup that would produce 1,000 litres of beer a week with a 6 week with 6 settling tanks, so that I can age my beer for a month and a half before I sell it. I could set that all up for $15,000 Australian, including the training to operate the system. So it's at like very, very small, very low production capability systems. As a home brewer, I've got the ability to produce about 100 litres of beer a week, just with the stuff that I've accumulated because I buy all my brewing equipment secondhand. Anyway, neither here nor there. This pico brewery, it was, God, what was it called? Rainbow Raven. Oh my, I swear to God. I used to have a beer coastie from this place, because all these places jump up immediately with fucking full merch and fucking branded fucking half-gallon and gallon growlers, like the full 9 yards. It's amazing. And like, they pop up with all this shit ready to go. And then a month later, they are out of fucking business, never to be seen again, and there is a brand new brewery in there. And yeah, I bet this couple at Rainbow Raven at Redmond, which, yeah, man, so fucking hilarious. I don't think they were older than about 25. And fucking good on them for having a stab at it, because the breweries, like, it's a competitive scene. Like, you really have to know what you're doing. You really got to. I would never, ever, ever open a brew pub or start making my own beer, because the scene is so cutthroat. Like, you would 100% have to have everything dialed in, Ricky Tick on the top, and you would need to have you'd have to have deep pockets behind you, because as soon as you do anything great, fantastic, or whatever, like if you're in America, you start making a good recipe, Stones will be producing it. Like, if you make a good beer of a weird flavour, like you decide to make a key lime pie beer, like you decide to make an oatmeal stout that's key lime flavoured. So, you know, you've got some coconut cream in there for your lambic infusion. Or coconut milk, actually. Why use coconut cream? Do like one of the lighter blonde oatmeal stouts, you know, add some key lime flavours in there in your tertiary fermentation, you know, you add that and you make a stout that tastes like fucking key lime pie. And it's good, and everybody fucking loves it. A month later, Stone is now producing it. And they will produce it in a volume that you cannot compete with, and there ain't shit you can do to stop them, apart from go, we did it first, and hope you've got some brand loyalty. And there ain't no brand loyalty, kids. So that's why you have to have deep pockets, because you need deep pockets. You would need to have the type of card-carrying maniac that could literally come up with the idea for a key lime beer on the fly, and you would need them punching out those ideas to get big enough, to get enough of a cult traction to survive. And you would still probably burn $1.5 million in the first year. Like, so if you wanted to set up a brewery and you wanted to be successful, like, deep pockets and geniuses. And anyway, so back to Rainbow Raven, they were not geniuses. They were adorable. They were sweet. Their beer was good. Like, it was. I remember I went in there and I know the spouse. She hated the shit out of it. For some reason, she loved Black Raven, which popped up about a month later on the other side of the main road. But this was just like what they had produced. The signature brew. And I only went in there once because I was in Redmond. There was like 20-something microbreweries. That's not including like the brew bars where like you go in there and there's a burger. Like, I mean, just breweries that produce beer. There was like fucking 20 of them. Like, you could, even if you wanted to, you couldn't go to every single brewery in Redmond, and I just mean Redmond. I'm not even talking about, you decided to go to Renton, you're not going to Olympia, you're not going to Sammamish properly, you're not going to Everett. I mean, you have parked yourself in Redmond, and Redmond is as far as you're going. You're not even making it to 1 metre at this point, boys. You've decided Redmond is where you're going to plant your flag, and that's where you're going to die. There are so many breweries you will not be. You wouldn't have made your way through them, even if you wanted to, because they just came and went so fast. And it feels like the only people that made money were the people that were selling and leasing them the equipment. That's a completely different story. Anyway, and it was like a good, pleasant lager. They produced imagine if Budweiser was good. Like, imagine, like the stuff I'm currently drinking now that's called Sail and Anchor. It's a pale ale. It's a completely forgettable beer. Who actually makes this, ultimately? Oh, there we go. It is produced by a major player under license. Okay, so the beer I'm currently drinking right now, it's just a pleasant beer. It tastes like beer, like you expect beer to taste. It's a little bit fruity, and there's no it doesn't have that tin taste that I think, to me, Budweiser has, or Tui's has, or VB has. Like, it doesn't have a metallic aftertaste. It's just, it's beer. Like if you were going to make beer flavoured candy, that's what you produce, and that's what they produced. And I think they had an espresso stout that I didn't want to try because I'm not a big fan of. They called it a triple oatmeal stout, and that just tells me it's going to be bitter and slimy. So I didn't try it. What else did they have? They had a red, and at that point in my life, I was kind of sick to death of drinking red ales. I actually love red ales, but it's kind of, if you've ever drunk a red ale, you understand why. You can go through phases of liking them and just never wanting to see them again. They are very good until they are bad, and when they're bad, they're absolutely devastatingly bad, and you start flinching away from them, and you never want to go near them ever again. And then, you get lured back by the siren call of the red ale. Anyway, so yeah, I just grabbed a gallon, 4 litres for those that want to play with a real measuring system instead of the imaginary made up one. Yeah, that was 3.8 litres of this beer, because like I said, it was nice. If Budweiser had produced it, or if it was Budweiser or Pabst, or if a large brewery sold it, it would have been successful. It could have been a brand new formulation of Budweiser. Like, if the Budweiser Brewing Company had their recipe and used that to make Budweiser, it would have been intensely successful as New Bud. However, these were some kids making a technically good beer in a microbrewery, and nobody cares. And that's why you end up with things like, over-hopped beers, which was a huge thing. Probably still is. It was a joke in the Pacific Northwest about over-hopped beers. And the whole point was, over-hopping is the easiest, cheapest way to make your beer stand out. And it's like bitter coffee at the time was also hugely popular. Now, to my mind, my way of thinking, even like Starbucks coffee is deliberately made to be bitter because you're going to be adding like 14 cups of fucking sugar to your venti. You know, you want your I want my 5 shots of caramel and 3 of vanilla, and I want to add some whipped cream, and then add some sweetener, and could you put some no sugar syrup in it for me as well? Like, so I think, anyway, and that's all done so that your coffee still remains palatable and you can pretend you're drinking coffee. What happens is a whole bunch of baristas go through Starbucks and they get sick to the back teeth of drinking shit with sugar in it because, like, drinking 4 or 5 ventis of fucking unicorn latte or pumpkin spice latte will give you the fucking sugar crashes like nobody's business, and then it's really hard to work when you've got a sugar hangover and you're trying to shut down a Starbucks. Almost called it a cafe. Yeah, like it's just hard to do the job. So what they start doing is they want things like cold brew. They want their coffee without sweetness because they don't want the sugar hangover. And guess what? The standard coffee that they're having at Starbucks is the roast is bitter as fuck. Um, and yeah, so what happens is everybody who's in the know go, well, this person's been a Starbucks barista for 20 years, so they know coffee. And they say your coffee should be so bitter that it puckers your anus from 35 feet. And I'm like, no, I love coffee. I've been drinking coffee for yes, I was 11 when I had my first cup of Turkish coffee. But before that, I was always sipping on my dad's, having swigs of my dad's cold coffee. If only there was a sign that I had ADHD, right? Any who's you to the what's it. My point is, these people think, they're exposed to people that are consuming coffee for one reason and one reason only, and sit there and go, well, these people know what they're talking about, and they drink bitter coffee, so ergo, bitter coffee must be good. And it's not. It's like, as a chef, I'll tell you right now, most chefs will over-season the food they cook for themselves. Why? Electrolytes. Stand in the kitchen for 10 hours. You'll sweat out liters. You will start craving salt because your body doesn't actually want to shut down and die, no matter how much you want it to. It won't let you. So you'll have salty food. It doesn't hurt that a lot of chefs smoke too much, so they've absolutely destroyed their palate's ability to taste nuance. Hence why a lot of high-end Michelin level chefs don't smoke. It's actually kind of a dead giveaway when you start talking about truly great chefs and whether the guys are just masters of route preparation, which everything I've read about Marco Pierre White, bearing in mind I will never get to try Marco Pierre White's food at his height, but everything I've seen about Marco Pierre White's food is heading towards technical perfection. He doesn't have any great insights. He is about doing the same thing over and over again until he succeeds and perfects it. We will not be answering my phone. I'm busy peeling carrots for YouTube. No, it doesn't sound any less insane when you say it out loud. Anyway, so I think, in my opinion, from what I've learned from studying him and from people that I've spoken to that worked for him, he was a master of he mastered a certain set of techniques, and he absolutely mastered them. And his mastery is technical perfection. There's nothing wrong with that. But he was not Ferrano Adriano. He was not Blumenfeld. He was not Dan Barber. He was not inventing anything new. He was just doing the Zen master, make every strike, every blow perfect. And that's cool, you can do that. But that's what happens with chefs that tend to be smokers or abuse substances. They can't, you don't find a lot of nuance in their cooking and a lot of exciting flavours because they can't taste it. And if they can't taste it, they assume it's a waste of time. It doesn't taste like anything. Like, I've had chefs tell me that banana blossoms don't taste like anything, which I disagree with, like 100%. They are predominantly a texture, but they definitely taste like banana flowers. Fresh ones more so. Okay, box changing time. This is going to be a little bit more involved because I actually have to pick the box off the floor and then put it on top of the other box. So, sorry about the squeaky noises. I could edit this, but I'm not going to. Well, actually, what if... Haha! Okie dokie. Sorry, people that are listening at home. Okay. Time for another bag for the peelings. Okay. Homeward stretch, eh? Nope. Where did I put that sharp thing? Anyway, I don't want to critique people, chefs, even famous successful chefs that have not been exposed to a massive amount of flavour profiles. Who needs to be professional? I'm just peeling carrots in my study. Okay. Oh, I got the bid that time. Now, we are back to carrots. If you're just joining us now, we're entering hour 2 of the Great Carrot Peeling Adventure. What did I do with the peeler? There it is. Perfect. Obviously, yeah, I probably should go to the kitchen and wash the potato peeler. However, this is just for me. I'm only going to be producing things for my own consumption. And at this point, the amount of rust and dry crap that is on this potato peeler, yeah, I'm not overly concerned. And that is my qualified opinion of both knowing exactly what's on my floor and the last time it was cleaned and the state of this potato peeler. It also helps that if we have a look, see how the blade doesn't actually touch? Yeah. You can put it down on a bench and the blade will not touch the bench. So people are like, oh my god, he picked it off the floor and kept using it to peel carrots. The part that is touching the carrots is the blade, and the blade didn't touch the floor. Anyway, neither here nor there. We are now on to box 3 of 3. I keep saying that over and over again because, yeah. Ah, shit, how long is this going to take to upload to YouTube? So we're recording this in 4K, and we'll be uploading this in high def to YouTube. Streaming this probably would have been the better option. Well, fuck me. Oh my god, this is kind of... Actually... Yeah, shit, I'm just going to take a quick... I'm just going to jump on Twitter for a second, guys, just so I can tell the shitposter-in-chief how long this video is up to. Oi at Neolithic. No, yeah, Neil. At Neil. You follow a person called Neil. No, I don't. People called Neil don't get followed. They follow people. Wait, I can either choose a circle or... Jesus Christ, everyone can reply. No one can reply. Already at 2 hours, and I still got box cats to go. We'll call that 15 kilos of carrots. I hope you're happy, you bastard. You should use the right yaw. You bastard. You know, just use a smiley face because otherwise, if you don't, it's Twitter and people will get fucking upset and go, "Oh my god, you called someone a bastard." Yeah, they're my mate. And as an Australian, I reserve the right to call my mates miserable cunts. Um, because that's how we roll in Australia. Like, mentioned this before, and I'm going to mention it again because I think you all may all like know people that are watching this. Um, this is like the fucking. This is like a nightmare stream. This really is going to go viral, isn't it? It's a now darkened room. We can see the light slowly fading, lit through nothing but the illumination of a circle light. As someone quietly goes insane and tweets while peeling fucking carrots. How is this my life? Yeah, I know you're upset, Maui. I'm upset too, but you don't get fed for another 2 hours, and that means I'm gonna have time to finish the fucking carrot video, and then we'll never speak of the carrot video again, big guy. How's that sound? Do you never want to talk about carrots ever again? I suppose I should give some history on carrots. So carrots were actually invented in 1919 by Horace Carrot. It was actually a Yugoslavian refugee from Uruguay. Um, and he invented the carrot by crossbreeding a dandelion and a potato. It should be said that most of his science and his botany was fueled by copious amounts of methamphetamine and expired beer. He had a nasty habit of going behind the pack and suds, and just all the beer that they were throwing out, he would just steal the cans and drink them. He also had a nasty habit of sucking on the drain plug if they were smashing bottles to try and stop him. In the end, he died of tuberculosis in 2021, due to the fact that he kept French kissing raccoons. But that's actually where carrots come from. There's no need to look that up. You can trust me. I'm a chef that has been peeling carrots for 2 hours at this point. I'm not going to lie to you or fuck with you for making it this far into the video. I'm just going to give you the honest to God truth. A lot of people don't realise that you actually get the milk that's used to make chocolates actually comes from a special breed of cows, initially grown in Switzerland. It's purple. It's actually why Milka has a purple label. And look, yeah, okay. Technically, it's not a purple. It's just a black a dark brown that reflects characteristics that is kind of like it's bluish. So we call it purple because that's how it works. And yeah, originally only those cows gave milk rich enough to make chocolate, which was believed to be an excellent way to poison your children when chocolate was first brought to Europe. Oh look, my phone's dying. I know. I'm also dying, phone. We're all stuck in the Inu. Anyway, when it was originally brought to Europe, it was for noble people to poison their children. Hence why all these major celebrations that involve children. Well, it turns out if you're noble, you only really need one kid. You need the eldest one. So that's why people age out of things like trick-or-treating and getting stuff from the Easter Bunny and chocolate stockings. It's part of this tradition of poisoning your children. The young spare children you don't really need anymore. Okay, so you have 14 kids because you need one to live to be adulthood. Well, what do you do when one gets to adulthood and you've got like the other 13? Well, you poison them. It's also why the Europeans love wars and invading places. Sometimes your kid wouldn't eat chocolate, and so you'd give them a pointed stick and point them at the noble son, the spare children of other noble families of pointed sticks, and just hope that a serious case of golden staph would break out and they'd all be dead. And if they won, well, you'd sit there and go, "Well, good on you, little Billy. You're now the you can be the Viscount of the land that you captured. Yeah, fuck off." That's the whole point. And much like eggplant and tomatoes were thought to be poisonous, chocolate was known to be poisonous. It turns out that they were wrong about that as they were about tomatoes. But that just goes to show that Europeans just want to kill their children. It's kind of an obsession with them. They're weird like that. And that's one of the reasons why the biggest influences on the modern world is actually Carthage and their constant desire to burn children so they can win their wars over Rome. I know, I'm disappointed as well. You don't get to have chocolate because it really will kill you. I know. The supervisor's now butting me because I think he's worried that I've quietly gone mad with all this potato. Jesus Christ, I have gone mad. I'm peeling potatoes now. Ah, yeah. I've had 2 beers and now I am so drunk that I'm peeling potatoes. Long orange potatoes. No, because I'm peeling carrots. He appears to be worried that I'm doing this. I feel that a lot of people would be worried if they knew what I was doing. Conveniently, this is being recorded, so by the time you get to watch it and try to launch some sort of concerned intervention, it will all be over. I either will have survived or not survived. Obviously, if I haven't survived, this will be uploaded in YouTube with some somber music and a desire to don't let this happen to your chef. Don't let them peel 50 kilos of carrots at home while drinking a 6-pack of beer. I'm also roasting some pork belly, and the smell of it is currently driving me insane because I can't have any until I'm done peeling these goddamn carrots. But this pork belly smells amazing. So it's been cooked in Wagyu fat because I had a little bit of Wagyu fat left over, just so it doesn't stick to the pan. And also the cast iron pan had just gone through the dishwasher today. It's a little bit rusty, so yeah, coating it in Wagyu fat's not going to hurt it. Yes, I put my cast iron through the dishwasher. Deal with it. Anyway, and then I proceeded to cover it in miso. Just some white miso paste I had kicking around. Smeared it all over there, put it in the oven, and I'm planning on having tacos. As soon as this is over, this is my reward. Peel 50 kilos of carrots, you get to have Taco Tuesday on a Thursday. Once again, that's just the way we roll. It did just occur to me that I could have recorded this in multiple points and just, staggered uploaded it, and then people wouldn't be intimidated by the fact that this is going to be a 3-hour video or whatever. But I actually think it's far funnier from a purely comedy-based reason. For pure performance comedy, I think just uploading it as a solid, continuous, unbroken stream of madness, that this just works better. This is what cooking is. Like, you go, if you want, go watch fucking Nate Declares War on fucking Sauce or whatever that fucking wanker is, the heavily tattooed fuckboy on YouTube who's, I think he's Australian. He's like, oh, I'm a punk rocker and I know how to cook, and you read his cookbook and it's like it's like fucking 20 of the world's most pathetically mediocre recipes you've ever tasted. And he's like, you want to add milk to your bolognese and it'll blow your fucking mind. No, it won't, bro, because one, they would have used buttermilk or the fluid that's left over from churning butter to do it originally. And two, I boil parmesan rinds into my bolognese. You know that hard rind that's left over from when you grate your wedge of parmesan cheese? That's what I boil into mine. So no, you're not blowing my mind, and you're not telling this professional chef anything new. I know you claim to have a chef mate whose mind was blown by this, but if your chef's mate was blown by the idea of fucking dairy going with a meat-based ragu, I want to know what the fuck he thinks cheese is made out of, you know? And yeah, I think that guy's a complete wanker, obviously. He's one of those semi-educated weirdos that's extremely charismatic, that has decent production values. So he goes, yeah, I'm going to show you how easy cooking is. And it's like, no, you're not. You're not going to show anybody how easy cooking is. You're going to show people how to kit bash because you're not making your own tomato sauce, bro. You're not peeling your tomatoes. You're not crushing them. You're getting a pre-done tin. Half the work's done. You are literally just modifying a kit sauce. So, yeah, like, congrats. I'm proud of you. I really am. More people should be cooking at home. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But I say this as an extremely educated, highly trained chef. if the only way you can have spaghetti bolognese is to go and get yourself a jar of sauce, fucking pour it over raw meat, and then just let it cook for 20 minutes while you sob on the couch because the world is a shithole, I want you to do that. You know, you have my fucking... I will give you fucking personal fine dining chef thumbs up for doing that because you fucking cooked. You deserve a goddamn gold star for that. And I hate these influencer wankers that stand up and are like, if you're not doing this, you're wrong, and this is a better way of doing it. And I'm like, no, just fucking... Man, if all you can do tonight, and I mean this, if you're listening to this video and, like, because you've got... The world is a terrible place, and somehow you're 2 hours and 15 minutes into a wanker chef fucking peeling 50 kilos of carrots to make somebody else on the internet that you don't really know about giggle because this, I don't know what you're getting out of this, but you're here right now. I want to tell you this. It is still cooking, and it is still perfectly fine and acceptable if the only thing you can cook tonight is fucking reheated pizza. You fucking won. Good on you. You've won. You know, you should have a fucking cookbook. You're a fucking star. I love you for it. If that's all you can do. If all you can do because you've fucking run out of spoons, but you've got to eat. Like, you're not hungry, but you know intellectually you have to eat because you haven't eaten all fucking day and you've got to eat. Fuck it, man. If you just get baked beans and you microwave them for 3 minutes because you can't stand at a stove because you don't have the attention span because you are so exhausted that you can't stand at a stove to heat beans over on a stove, and you microwave them for 4 minutes, fucking gold star. Gold star. You fucking did it. You should have go write a fucking cookbook. Like, you are doing well. Fucking, you should be celebrated. You have cooked a meal. And you've cooked a meal as great and as important as these wankers that jump up in here and go, this is what we're going to cook now. Fucking put your fucking yeast and your fucking, yeah, like, fuck those guys. I say this as a chef that's on TikTok. Fuck fucking TikTok chefs. Fuck the guy that's sitting there and shitting on how you cook your fucking family's casserole by using fucking jar sauces and fucking raw pasta. Fuck it, man. If that's how you roll, that's how you roll, okay? I am proud of you for fucking rolling deep and heavy, even if the only thing you're rolling deep in is on a fucking big wheel, and the heaviest thing you can pick up is a fucking pop gun. Like, seriously. Fucking, however you manage to make it across that line is fucking fine, and if you have to crawl across that fucking line, I will fucking cheer you on. I just fucking hate these influencers that stand up and would act like they're bringing anything down from the fucking mountaintop. Saying, what do you mean you don't have fucking 2 hours to cook a fucking bolognese, mate? I just make up fucking a huge batch of it at one time, put it in the fucking freezer, and it's there. Yeah, but you had the 2 hours to fucking start with, dickhead. You had the 2 hours to start with. Some people don't have those 2 hours, ever. They don't have 2 hours once a week to make your big fucking complicated ragu. Okay, so if they need to grab a jar of fucking Legos from the fucking supermarket on their way home, and they don't even bother browning the meat because they don't have the time, they add the fucking jar sauce, fucking half a jar of water, and fucking cook it till it's hot while they fucking do everything else in their life. Fuck you for saying that's not real cooking. Fuck you for hating on it. What do you know how to do? You don't know shit. Because that's the problem. That's one of the reasons it stops me from... Like, I've got raw footage of me making fucking sausages at home. Like, breaking down chickens, then grinding the chickens into mince, and then stuffing sausages. It took me like 45 minutes. Because I know what I'm doing. Because I've already paid in hours to learn how to do this shit fast. I really thought about posting those videos. Apart from the fact I'd have to stitch them all together using an editing program, which I've already established I'm not going to do. The other thing is, I'm like, that doesn't help anyone at home. Like, I've worked in a meat department at Whole Foods. I've been a meat cutter. I am a chef. I've worked Michelin stars and hats. I am a highly qualified, excellently trained chef with a standard issue brain that allows me to be better at this job than I have any right to be, and I've also dedicated everything I have to this. I'm sitting in a room that is literally $20,000 worth of cookbooks, and I've read them all multiple times. I fucking read them all, for fuck's sake. Like, I've got esoteric shit like the fucking modernist pizza set. Because it's got 3 recipes in it that I really, really wanted. So I dropped $600 on a book for 3 fucking recipes. Like, that's that's how you get to be called by other chefs the most highly trained and most knowledgeable chef in Brisbane, because that's how you roll. And that's how I roll. So I just want to throw assholes like that under the fucking bus, because how dare they sit there and tell someone, whether deliberately or inadvertently, how dare they tell someone that however they got across the line today to make dinner is unacceptable, that they should spend, that they can find the 2 hours a week to cook one of the recipes in this book. Like, and that's the bit that makes me really live about it. It's not like, you know, oh well, if you just get my cookbook and you sit there and you read it, you'll learn how to make 2 hours a week. You'll be able to make all 20 recipes in one hit. 2 hours a week. That's all you need. Brr. No, one recipe's 2 hours. If you were to use his recipes, and like let's say you decide to cook his shit and only his shit, and that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna be, even if you make up huge batches that last you a whole month, you're gonna have to find about 16 hours a month to cook, 4 hours a week. There are people in this world. There are a lot of people in this world that don't have those 4 hours. You know? There are people out there that there are other things that is more important to them. They want to go to the gym. They want to spend time with their partner because they don't want their fucking marriage to fucking fail. There are things to them that are personally more important than making the fucking best bolognese so good that even Italian chefs are fucking surprised at how good it is. They don't have time for that shit. And to present it as some fucking righteous war on jarred sauces, it's just fucking egotistical. Like, you're a dude in your 20s with no kids, apparently works as a rocker for a band I've never fucking heard of, whatever. And you're going to tell people that trying to raise kids, work 2 jobs. And for the record, I've got a mate now who's in his 40s, early 40s like me, who has 5 kids from, it's a blended family. He has 5 kids at home. He's got another kid that he tries to see every second week from when his marriage collapsed. And he's also struggling with the fact that he's working 2 jobs because there's 5 kids at home. So, you know, none of these kids, you know, the oldest I think is only 15. So, you know, he's got him and his girlfriend fucking move heaven and earth. His girlfriend works one job and he works 2, as well as raising fucking breeding huskies, to pay their mortgage, to try and save money, you know, save money for the kids, you know, allow them to do the stuff that they want to because they're teenagers. You know, like when you have 5 fucking kids, and this may not occur to a lot of people, but you have 5 kids in this day and age, you're on the hook for at least 2 or 3 PlayStations. Just straight off the bat. I know what you're all thinking, well, maybe I won't let my kids play video games. Okay, cool, but they're teenagers. Their friends are going to have video games, and if you want to make sure they're in a safe environment, you know, you're going to want it to happen at your house at least some of the time, right? So you're going to have an Xbox or a PlayStation, and you're not going to get to choose which one. Their friends are. So you're going to have an Xbox or a PlayStation. It's one of the reasons that I have both, is so that I can game with his kids, help keep an eye on them, because I'm up late at night from being a chef, So I can jump on my Xbox and my PlayStation before I go to bed and check on them to see if they're still playing at 2 o'clock in the morning. Maybe have a quick fucking word with them and have a quick game with them to make sure fucking nothing shady's happening. Fucking, I tell my mate all the fucking dirty secret shit, hacky shortcuts I know to make his life as easy as possible. And he 100% uses jar sauces. He doesn't have to. He knows how to cook well enough that he could, if he wanted to, make anything he makes from scratch. I even, because he asked me to, I showed him how to make baked beans from scratch. Like, we went through the whole 3-hour process of making proper baked beans from scratch. He doesn't. Like, his kids love baked beans. They love it when I go down there and visit them because they get to have fucking properly made baked beans. They still have baked beans out of a fucking can though, because like he doesn't have time to do it properly. He knows how to do it properly. Like, and one day when he has the time, he'll be able to do it. But it just drives me livid when celebrity chefs, Jamie Oliver, this weirdo from YouTube, Nate, whatever the fuck he is. All these idiots stand up and go, anybody can find the time if you really want to. It's like, they don't. They don't. Okay? And it's not the cost. It's not laziness. It's not ignorance. It's... there are other things that matter as much, if not more, than cooking. And I say that as someone who has dedicated their life to cooking, that has burnt relationships. Burnt relationships in the crucible to be a chef, who has sacrificed everything a human being could possibly have to be a chef, to continue to be a chef, to keep doing this, to keep being as good as I am. Like, and I say it's not worth it. Like, one of my biggest regrets is that I'm in the process of transitioning to teaching. I've enrolled to get myself Cert 4 in workplace training and assessing, and when I get that at the end of next year, I'll be going from working fucking late nights and weekends, and I'm going to become a chef educator. And I'm going to be working Monday to Friday during business hours. I'm leaving this industry as a chef because it's just not worth it. And the biggest regret of my life is that I haven't been able to maintain a relationship to get to this point where I can turn around to someone who has sacrificed a lot and say, well, guess what, babe? It's all fucking worth it. Like, I'm done. I've proven to myself everything I've done. I'm earning good enough money now that I can finally do this. And this is the whole problem. Like, when you're doing fine dining, when you're getting the skills that someone like Jamie Oliver has, or that Gordon Ramsay has, you don't get paid any fucking money. There's no money to be had. You're building up a resume that one day you can maybe turn into money. And I've finally gotten to the point where I don't want to have my own restaurant, and I would be completely happy to be a chef educator for the rest of my life. And that is how I'm going to cash out. That's how I leave the industry. There was a point 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, where I still wanted to run my own restaurant, and I still wanted to see my name in lights, and I still wanted to prove to the world that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Now I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care enough to have to fight people like Nate for this industry. I don't care enough anymore to throw away millions of dollars to prove I know more about cooking than anyone else in the world. I've hit a point in my life where I know exactly how much I know. I know where to find the obscure stuff that I can't remember, and I know the people that are doing the research that I'm really interested in. And while I know, for example, the key lime beer that I pulled off the top of my head, like, for the record, that was literally off the cuff. Anyone who wants to make that idea, cool, go for it. Call it Mad Chef Red's beer. I did the same thing the other day to a mixologist. He said, come up with a cocktail. I said strawberries, Tasmanian pepperberry, salt bush, and strawberry gum, with an Australian gin base, Australian botanical gin base. He said he's going to turn it into a cocktail called the Mad Chef. And I'm like, that's literally, that's... I can pull that stuff off the top of my head. I know I can do that consistently. I could do that for hundreds, thousands of different recipes. I can come up with ways to do it. I don't have anything left to prove to myself. And proving it to the rest of the world doesn't matter anymore. I have nobody out there that I care enough about to make them happy, to impress them. Because the people that are successful are the people that don't know anything. The people that stand up and scream abuse and spout off stupid things about how all jar sauce is fucking evil, etc, 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 who don't understand the historical ramifications of what they're saying, who haven't had to struggle with chronic pain, disability, like, when I talk about sacrificing everything, like, I tore tendons in my shoulder recently. I have clearance from my GP to be doing from my physio today to do this. This is why this is being done today. It would have been smarter to do it yesterday, but I couldn't see my physio yesterday. So I spoke to my physio today, and me sitting down in a chair and being able to rest my elbow, to take the load off my injured, my healing shoulder as much as possible, is, as far as he's concerned, perfect. You know, like, I destroyed one of my knees 5 years ago that needs surgery. It's going to need surgery to repair. I have damaged nerves and tendons in my hand. I mentioned the bad repair. Like, I've lost a lot of precision from that. My handwriting is worse now than it was before the incident. Like, I have, I have suffered a lot of fucking terrible injuries being a chef, and I've worked through them. I worked through a trash knee. That's why it's getting to the point where it needs to be replaced, because I've destroyed it. I have sucked it up with a straw and kept moving. You know, concrete has a picture of me above its bed and tells its children that one day, if they try hard, they can grow up to be as hard as me. Like, and at the end of the day, for what? And yeah, this is a morose way to end. But I am going to try and pick up the pace, just because I believe I'm finishing hard. And I ain't going to let no fucking potatoes. Hey, he's got potatoes on the brain! Man, the terrible thing is, I had a stroke like fucking an hour ago and I didn't even notice. I think I'm here peeling carrots. And my brain has just gone fucking potato. Anyway, like I said, let's finish hard. Prove to you that I'm not actually tired of this, I'm just bored. So, you can see how few carrots are left, and like I said, I'm just going to try and do this as fast as I can. Shit, I wonder if I can make this longer than the director's cut of fucking Lord of the Rings. Fuck, that would be an embarrassment. That being said, this is why I do pay Google a shit ton of money for storage. Into the peelings. That was bad. Party foul. cannot tell you how sticky my hands are from the small amount of sugar that's in carrots. Drying and sticking my hands, it feels absolutely terrible. It smells amazing. In here smells like carrots. I'm currently getting shifty side-eye from Union Supervisor. Tamawi is not impressed. I think he thinks this has gone on for 2 hours and 30 minutes too long. Well, conveniently, he doesn't get a vote. Don't tell him I said that. So yeah, as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to upload it to the internet, so there's not going to be any audio correction, so I'm sorry if it's super quiet. I'm not even going to bother reviewing the video to see. I'm just going to upload it and then carry on with my life. Like I said, this is meant to be a good microphone that is meant to be able to pick up sounds from up to 3 meters away, so hopefully you can all hear me and my voice hasn't worn so much that it's become a quiet squeak. That'd be awesome. Check the comments in a month. Your voice goes squeaky and quiet about halfway through. You can hear the occasional grunt. Sounds like you had a stroke about an hour into it. I shouldn't joke about strokes, I really shouldn't. I mean, I do because it's one of the fears I have of suffering neurological death before I suffer physical death. Kind of hope if that happens, someone will just smother me with a fucking pillow and be done with it. I have a sneaky suspicion that with evidence like this floating around, what's going to happen is they're just going to hand me a fucking carrot peeler and a vegetable peeler and stick me in front of 50 kilos of carrots and be like, here you go, Granddad. You remembered how to do it. There you go, look at him go. Oh, look, doesn't even need a prefrontal cortex. Good on him. Good on you, digger. Get in there. That's training right there, kids. For the record, before you ask, no, I'm not actually paying attention to where I cut when I flick the ends off. I'm just doing it. I can have good enough body sense that I can actually feel where my hand is in reference to both the knife that I've been using for over a decade at this point and the potato peeler that I've been using for longer. So. Cannot tell you how good that pork belly smells, mate. Been run at 120 degrees. Those tacos are going to be fan-fucking-tastic. Still kind of disappointed by this YouTube thing. Although I'm pleased to know that there's only 21 hours, 21 minutes and 21 seconds until I can stream, which is good because I will be at work. So yeah, for any of you that are currently wondering, yes, this is why you want to date a chef. As you can see, the forearm endurance is beyond comprehension. I've been doing the same thing for 2 hours. I don't even feel a significant burn in my shoulders from doing this. So, as you can imagine, someone that can do fiddly, precise work for hours without suffering a lactic burn of any significant manner, you probably want them in your life. And yes, that is a nudge nudge, wink wink, say no more statement. For those that are playing along with a copy of our home game, I believe that should give our first customers their cheap sexual innuendo Bingo. Oh, the night geckos are out, just what the world needs. That'll be great. It's getting warmer, so the geckos are coming out. Now he absolutely loves the geckos. They stay up on the wall just outside of his reach, and he goes absolutely uncut trying to get up to them. It's amazing because every now and again he'll catch one and then he'll spit it out and let it go because I don't think he actually wants to catch them. He just wants to fuck with them, and they want to fuck with him, so they do. Ooh, now we're going to green everything. I apologize about the potato quality, but the room is starting to get dark now, and we are currently lit solely by the ring light on the camera. Now, once again, this just goes to show you, planting on 4-point. I put into that. You can now see in the corner, that is all the carrots we have to do. So, looks like about a kilo. Come on, you can do this, you fat bastard. The real trick is not the burning in the arms that are a problem for me. It's the burning in my brain as my brain sits there and goes, this is fucking boring. Stop. It's just... this is mental endurance. This is... If you know anyone with ADHD, I want you to ask them what kind of fresh hell it would be to do something that they don't really enjoy 2.5 hours. A lot of people will turn around. A lot of people with ADHD will turn around and say that they just wouldn't be able to do it, and that's fair. That's fine. You have to do it. The problem is cooking is my hyperfocus. You may not have noticed, and so for me to do my hyperfocus, to be able to do the thing that I enjoy, I've had to figure out ways of making myself do this. A bit like kind of really understood in the movie Genghis, the Mongolian-made movie about the Khan, where they said, how come you're not afraid of the thunder and the lightning? Because didn't want to get struck by lightning, so they'd cower from it. Makes perfect sense when you're on fucking planes. And Genghis said, when he was imprisoned by the Chinese, he was exposed. There was nowhere for him to hide. He had to get over his fear because he didn't have a choice. And I'm able to do shit like this that bores me to tears, that literally my entire brain is screaming at me, stop! Do anything else. You're at home, you can turn off this video, no one will ever know, you just lie, you just pretend the video got destroyed, like you can stop. Now my emotional support cat is literally rubbing my shoulders because he knows how agitated I am. Because the reason why I have a cat is he helps me through the ADHD. Oh, look at that, 5 carrots to go. Oh, my brain. You treacherous little fuck, stop doing this. See, one of the things my brain knows to do it's far more interesting, is to start tickling trauma in the back of my head because it knows I'll start doing physical stuff to escape it. And about 10 minutes ago I hit the point at which my brain started excitedly making me relive all sorts of fun and exciting memories from my past, in the hopes that I would get up and do something more interesting to distract myself from what it's doing to me. But it's my fucking brain, and it answers to me. And quite frankly, you can get back in the fucking box because we have 3 fucking carrots, and then this is fucking done. And this will be a just under 3-hour video of me peeling carrots, drinking beer, and bitching as my brain screams at me to fucking stop. And if that isn't proof that ADHD people are better than fucking neurodivergent people are better than fucking NTs every day of the fucking week, I knew this was gonna happen. I knew my brain was gonna do this. I knew that my brain was going to fucking literally sharpen the knives and fucking hit me with it as soon as it got bored. And there was nothing I could do to stop it. Stories distracted it for a little while. Right now, nothing is distracting it, and it is fucking eating me alive. Like, the best thing is because the autism, it's full amount of recall as well, so it's not just like the trauma of being back there. It's like, you remember what you felt like as well? And there we fucking go, kids. Last carrot. Come on, finish it nicely. We know you want to go do anything else, but fucking do it properly. Last carrot in 30 fucking seconds. My god, what took you so long last time? There we go, guys. That was 50 kilos of carrots. Thanks for staying. Tried to keep together the best I could.